Let's talk about the one time I got suspended from school. It's an interesting one. Okay, so I wasn't really like a troubled kid. I didn't really like disobey that much. Like the worst thing I ever really did in school, besides this one thing, was just like not do assignments. Okay, so there was this teacher, right? Funny that, being in a school. And she was really bad at her job, like really bad. She was also a bit old and didn't quite know how like technology worked. So we all made fun of her for that. Like there was this one point where we were watching Pearl Harbor on DVD and somehow she'd accidentally put on director's commentary. So she was very, very confused. We told her, you have to point the TV remote at the TV, and she pointed it like straight up at the screen, not at the DVD player, and it's like, no, you have to point it at the DVDs, like at the DVD. And so she took out the DVD and then started button mashing straight at the DVD disc itself. Plus the subject I saw was inherently pointless. It was called S&E, and I'm not even entirely sure how to describe it. It's like geography and other things and history and whatnot, all combined into a mismatch where you don't focus much on anything. And I remember learning lots about sheep that I've just forgotten. Australia has a long history of sheep cultivation. Mate. So yeah, I was 15, wasn't enjoying myself, I was very bored most of these classes, and to pass the time, I decided to write a poem about the teacher and how senile and incompetent she was. Yeah. Just got out an A4 piece of paper, wrote down some sick rhymes, and some sweet burns too. Like, that's like the nerdiest thing I could think of. Just like, hey, how do I want to express like how much I dislike this teacher? Through rhyme. Knock some verse back, but not in a lyrical way because I can't sing. Or rap. What up? White kid for life. Yeah, it's not a nice poem. It mentions her eating chalk, etc. She would retire if only she could remember where the door is. Okay, we all did terrible things when we were teenagers, okay? So don't judge me. And then the next lesson, I'm like, I'm still bored. So I take it out. I'm like, I have nothing to add right now. So I just leave it there. And for some weird reason, I think, I'm gonna do some actual work. And I just leave the poem lying there. And the teacher comes up and she's like, what's that? And I freeze like a deer in the headlights and think, oh no. And then someone from like halfway across the room goes like, read it out, David. And I just internally be like, I will kill you. Shut up. I mean, at this point in time, it's too late because she's looking down and she's reading and she's going a shade of red and I'm panicking and I don't know what to do. And she's like, it's time for you to go to the office with me. And I was like, oh no, I've got in trouble. I've been caught for the terrible thing that I did. It suddenly makes it bad. And she storms towards the office with me. And she's so angry she could barely form sentences. She's just, and how dare you, and which didn't really help that like there was a line in the poem about how she couldn't form sentences properly, which really didn't seem like the best time to point that out as response to a question. How dare you say these things? I was like, well, thankfully I was not a sassy 15-year-old, or I might have gotten slapped by a teacher, who knows. Anyway, she storms straight into the office. She demands to see the principal at this very moment, and the principal is like 6'4", bulky, old, and has a permanent scowl. Like, he is a terrifying dude. He just walks around during lunch and recess just sort of like scowling at people. Like, he's never enjoyed a moment in his life, and he's just angry at all the children who get to experience joy. And so he sits down with the poem and starts reading it with the same scowl as like he always seems to have, like as if like this is his poker face. Like he's playing poker and he gets like a royal flush and he just looks super pissed off at it. And internally he's like, oh yeah, this is the best day of my life. And so I have no idea what he's thinking. I'm just so terrified at this point. And the first thing out of his mouth is, this is really good. And there's this moment where that just hangs in the air with like the super angry teacher next to me. And then he realizes that he has to continue and he says, but wrong. You shouldn't do this. It's like, it's this half compliment, half reprimand. Like, he tells me, you're very talented, like there's some good work in this poem, but you should use your talents for good, not evil. And then he goes, I'm gonna have to punch you, as if like we're deconstructing this moment as we go along for some reason. Like, oh, thank you for the running commentary on what is happening right now. And so I get suspended for 2 days. I get suspended because of a poem. Of course, we're halfway through that day at that point, and that counted as like day 1, so it was really just a day and a half. And so I'm sitting down in the office, I'm waiting for my mother mother to come pick me up, and my mother is a stern woman. I know in advance that she will not laugh this off. She will not find this funny. She will find this a bit of a disgrace. None of her children have ever gotten suspended, ever! And as I'm anticipating this firestorm of telling off, I'm just sitting and I hear on the radio playing that song. So you had a bad day, you're taking one down, and it's like, playlist for this day. Perfect song timing. See, my mother collects me, she tells me no electronics, no TV, no DS, no nothing. Basically, I just go home and read an entire book, which I enjoy because I am a nerd who writes poetry to diss their teachers. Well, hey, a day and a half off school where I got to do leisure activities, and then I go back to school, and then everyone's like, oh my goodness, that was amazing, you annoyed the teacher that we all mutually hate. Can we read the poem? Do you have a copy? And I'm like, no, she tore it up, like I didn't have a copy. And they're like, oh man, oh I'm so disappointed, oh I wanted to read it, oh that was so cool, good on you. And I'm just surrounded by like positive praise. I'm like, this is the weirdest like punishment I've ever had. Where's the lesson here? Only one person came up to me and actually made me feel bad. She's like, that was really bad what you did. I'm like, oh no, now I feel bad. But also very conflicted because everyone else is telling me how fantastic I am for doing this terrible thing. What do I take away from this? Even the principal told me I was talented for doing this. So yeah, what's the nerdiest thing you've done to get in trouble, or just, you know, the worst thing you've done? Comment below. Reveal your secrets. Also, speaking of poetry, bam, 2 poetry channels. One is Spoken Word Perth, which features lots of local talent talking some live performance poetries. And the other one is Department of Poetry, where we go out and we also get local talent to perform poems, but in a more sort of set-up setting with like backdrops and whatnot, and it's cool. Trust me, it's actually surprisingly interesting. I thought it was stupid, and then I went, and then I'm like, wow, it's cool, and now I'm in charge of 2 poetry channels. Check them out. Like, comment, subscribe, click on things, learn things, feel things with emotions from words put in certain ways, and then talk at your face. Goodbye, YouTube. The graduate English and creative writing that doesn't speak to English too well. Dang it, the joke was meant to be too good. Well, for starters, you didn't... That's not what I do. It's not what I do. It's not my job, and I'm not entirely sure if you even correctly described someone else's job.